Hi, it's Rebecca. Let's find some honey in war. Because if there's honey in everything, we should be able to find some in war. I mean, we know it's not all honey. There's a lot I don't, like most people, I don't like it. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't like violence or fighting. That's just me. But I can't say that I fully disagree with war. Now, before I explain, I want to thank Mary Alice. She was one of the gift recipients from the last episode. We sent out a nice bee journal with a bookmark that explains how to use the journal and is a honey reminder with a ribbon and a bee charm at the end of it. And she sent in an email stating, I see no honey in our country being involved in wars when there's so much need here. And I know a lot of people think that right now. So first, let's consider, as far as we know, there has always been war, and the other side tells us there will always be war here in some form or another. But I believe we can see that war definitely has changed over at least recorded history. We've seen how barbaric war has been, where we were clubbing people and scalping people, and it was brutal, and it still is, but it's a new version of that. So it's still happening. It's more, I guess you could say, sophisticated. We don't have to use as many people, at least in that combat. Can we still kill maybe even more people at one time? Of course we can. We have more people on the planet. That's only going to be the case. But like I said, most people don't want war, but not all people. If you think about it, some people train for it and they feel most alive while they're in it. I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast just recently. This is how extra data comes to me when I want to do a podcast. Things show up to support that. And this is one. The show was, Joe was talking to a Navy SEAL who was not in the service anymore. But at one point, he was talking about his training and describing the really intense training that they go through and the focus that you have to have in your body, in the moment. That's useful. That's something we can all do in different ways. And then he went on to talk about how they were in this one combat situation and he was hit, he was down, he wasn't sure if he was going to live or die. And there were only a handful or more of them in this situation. They got themselves into a very dangerous, tight situation, and it didn't look good. The leader of this group of Navy SEALs he said he noticed he was trying to help him. He was navigating the attacks, and in each ear, he was holding a different conversation with Navy personnel and calling them in to do an airstrike right where they were at, because it just had to be. So if you think of the amount of extreme focus it took to be trying to tend to an injured person, navigating the attacks that are happening right now in real time, right where you're at, and then holding two different conversations, one in each ear, calling in help, directing, just whatever he was doing. That's extreme focus. He had to have been alive at that moment. They did make it out, by the way. And obviously, the man telling the story made it through. But, what I took from that was they trained for that. And the people that were fighting them trained for that. It's a conundrum to me. I mean, I get it in the grander scheme of things, but in my personal desires and preferences, I think about like boxers or like fighters that fight with no protection. They want to do it. They want to do it. They want to do it. Look at daredevils and the situations that they put themselves in. They truly live on the leading edge of thought, of creation. And that's something to be considered here, because we didn't come here just for the fun stuff. We came into a world that is full of variety, and there is a lot of contrast. There has to be, in order for us to know opposites, in order for us to form preferences. You can't know what you really like and what you really want to create here if you don't see some or maybe a lot of what you don't like and what you don't want. And every soul is here on a different journey and for the gathering of different wisdom and expansion. And sometimes we do it in what we would call extreme ways or very difficult ways. We take on one heck of a challenge, which makes eternity eternal. We're always having preferences. We're always going up against challenges. We're always seeing things that we like and things that we don't like. That's the whole point of this planet. So, in addition to people that train in the service or whatever, or for local, protecting people locally, in addition to that, there are people on this planet, many people on this planet, who are raised and conditioned from birth to be dominant and destructive. They don't think with the same logic that many of us do. They believe death, torture, control, destruction are honorable. Their logic and their focus is nowhere near that of the kind average person's. So we can all, and I mean all, say to somebody else or to many other people, what you're doing and believing is wrong. And it makes no sense to me because everyone thinks they're right. And some will fight in anger when you don't agree or give them what they want. Our true power is not in anger or fighting. Our true power is in trust. That's really important. Our true power is in trust in the divine order of things, in the intelligence that has been and is creating everything that we know and don't know, the energy that a lot of people call God. That's where our power is, in trusting that there's a broader focus here, there's a broader view, a broader perspective that we're not really privy to in this human experience. So we don't understand the whys of everything. But we're guided and we are given thoughts about it. Because oftentimes the truth will not set you free. And an example of that is the other day I was talking with a few women, and one was just feeling really down because of situations in her personal life and her view of the government, her view of the state of the world. So she was feeling very negative and pretty hopeless about all of it and defeated. Like, what are we going to do? This is life and it's just bad. And so we talked, and I said, it isn't always fun here. It isn't always the wanted, but we do have to get to a place where we can do something about the unwanted from just our own perspective. I'm not saying that we should go out and try to fix anything because there's nothing broken. It's just a complete variety of opinions and preferences and beliefs and what people think is a good idea at the time. There's just a whole lot of that. We signed up for this, especially right now. Those of us that are here right now knew full well what we were coming into. And that's one reason why I do this podcast, because we need to remember why we're here and what we can do from our individual perspective to help the whole. And we'll get back to that. How you feel, and I mean that how you feel physically, how you feel is the real truth indicator. There are a lot of truths out there because, like I said, everybody thinks they're right. Everybody thinks this is the truth. And when you look at your truth, if you look at your reality, it's not really going to set you free necessarily if it doesn't feel good. But a shift in your perception, a look for some honey, will. It will bring the solutions. It will bring the real truths. It will help you feel better. So if your perception of what's true or real is caging you in instead of setting you free, you're out of sync with the truth of the divine, of God, of source, whatever you want to call it. Because I don't believe that intelligence is ever looking at this and thinking, what a mess. What are they doing? I think it's fully understood. This is a big planet. There's a lot going on. We came here into the positive stuff, the negative stuff, the variety, the contrast, and we're going to roll around in it and do the best we can with it. And we're going to spark desires all over the place that create more and keep eternity to be eternal. So if you hold fear in your heart, or if you're joining groups who push against something or against someone, you're contributing to the energy of that. In those moments, you're not trusting that divine order, that intelligence, and you're not helping in the best way. And I think we all want to do well. We all want to help. That's why we don't like things like war. That's why we don't like confrontation. We don't have to like it. But it's here. It's what we do with it that really makes the good difference. So instead of giving your attention to that, because what you give your attention to creates more like it, is that really what you want to do? Why not give your attention to what you prefer, considering that you don't know the bigger picture? From our vantage point, I don't think we can really say how we think things should be, unless it's for us specifically. And we know that when you just tell other people what you think they should do or how you think they should be, that doesn't always work out. They're not always in agreement. So when a group of people tells another group of people what they want them to do or how they want them to be, if there's no agreement, we have an argument and then we have war. Because people will fight. Not everybody, but often people will fight to try to make you be what they want you to be or do what they want you to do. So they tell us, tend to your own frequency first, and then take a look at the world, and then question war or the help that's needed in your own town or your own country, your own family. Tend to your own frequency first, because when you do that, your perspective will be more in alignment with all of creation. You've got to get that broader perspective. When we get too close up, too human in the moment, close up, looking at what we think we don't like, we don't see the bigger picture. So, as an example of what the other side, what their take is on war and that situation, I'm going to read to you something that was said in the Abraham Hicks teachings. They said, your world, and this is the other side speaking, your world will not be taken over by war, but there will always be war, because there will always be differences of opinion. And there will be those who do not understand that their true power is in their alignment with Source. So there will always be those who are pushed into that corner where they feel their disempowerment, who will move into rage and revenge stage in order to try and level the playing field. But your world, by natural nature, is peaceful, and the predominance of your world will always, as it is in this moment, be that of well-being, and the majority of individuals who walk on this planet will have the potential for a life of well-being. Whether they take it or not, this is my part, whether they take it or not, the potential is there. So back to Abraham. You do not need to worry about the infestation of war to take over your planet. It will not be. The stream of well-being is pervasive. There are too many players in this. For example, if there were two governments, only two, and they didn't like each other, and they were both pushing really hard against each other, it is conceivable that they could just war forever and keep themselves in that complete disruption. But fortunately, those leaders of those two nations are not the only vibrational players in this game. There are billions of you playing vibrationally in this game, living your lives. So what they're saying there is that you get to choose. Do you want to contribute negatively to all of this? Or do you want to contribute honey? And it's good when we ask those questions, like, why is this happening? Why are they not doing it in a way I think they should do it? People say, well, if I don't give my attention to the unwanted or the unlike things, then something bad's going to come out of that. Something bad will happen, or it won't improve. And the opposite is actually true. Instead of giving our attention to the unwanted or the unliked, if we shift our attention to the liked, to the wanted, that's the energy we put in to this whole mix, and that's what we get more of. We call the unwanted and the unliked bad. And there's certainly negativity, there's negative stuff, but nothing's truly bad in the grand scheme of things. It's information, it's data, it's opportunity for the opposite. So, what do you do about current wars and the current need in one's own country? Your power is in see it, think it, daydream it as you want it to be. From your perspective, not how you think it should be, not how you think it should be done necessarily, how you like it to be. Add that powerful energy to it, not in a wimpy way, like I would love for everybody to get along and for peace to be on the planet forevermore. How do you really want it to be? I like people to get along. I like governments that function well. I know there's going to be differences. I know people have different opinions and they may butt heads on things. But I like when the government runs pretty well. I like when people can work out their differences and accept each other as they are, but not expect other people to be like they are. Anything like that. How do you like it to be? That's what you're adding to the war. That's what you're adding to the need of any country. I like when people are fed. I like when they learn how to feed themselves. I like when there's plenty for everybody. I actually, and this is me personally, I like when I or other people go through hard times because we expand. You can look at hard times that you've been through, and although you don't want to repeat them, you came out with wisdom. You know more now than you knew before that. So do we have to struggle to expand and learn? No, but we do learn that way. We do get wiser for the wear. So there's honey in that. We don't have to like it all. But if we're not willing to say there has to be good in this, some people do very well in war. Some people thrive in war. Some people don't like it so much that they get very clear about what they do like, and they think about that a lot and they contribute that energy to it. The other side has said to us over and over again through the years, a handful of you souls who do that, what we just talked about, are more powerful than millions who are not doing that. So think about that. If you've been feeling like you can't do much here to help, it feels bad because it's not true. If you've been feeling like this world is messed up and out of order, you've been feeling bad because it's not true. It's not out of order. It's just a whole lot going on, and some of it you don't like. So you've simply been talked out of your trust. How can we not trust? If you think about it, it can be easy to get knocked out of your trust and talked out of your trust as you go through your years here. And sometimes you find it again and then you can't find it again. But how do we get it more consistently? Think about things like, how can we not trust whatever intelligence is creating and has created everything that we know and everything that we don't know? How do we not trust that? I mean, look around. Maybe there's never been a more important time for us to trust the divine or God or the infinite intelligence source. I believe that's why we're here right now, to get our trust in order as best we can. Another way that we can get there is I was watching a documentary episode. There were several episodes actually that my grandson and I were watching together called Surviving Earth. And in these episodes, they were showing over the course of millions of years, the natural disasters that were wiping out species and huge masses of land. And you think, wow, like, look at that. It's just like brutal. Like, is nature at war with us? Is nature at war with the planet? Is nature just a bully? I mean, it still happens to this day, right? You see a hurricane come through and all kinds of things and people and plants and species are just boom, gone, done. Fires that just burn across land, and so on and so on. So is God or nature at war with us? No. It's just kind of the way this planet is. I noticed in every episode when they talked about, they showed all this, it was sort of like there was a silence for a little while, but quick enough, plants grew. New species even popped up or evolved through those. I mean, we're talking like millions of years, over and over and over again. Every time the planet renewed, every time there was new growth, and it just prosperous growth. So this planet is ever changing, and so are we. It's not always pretty, it's not always easy, but here we are. Let's add as much honey as we can, because we're all going to make it through this alive. While we're here in this physical body, in this physical life experience, why worry? Why be afraid? Why put that into the mix? At least not for very long. It's actually handy to get there for a sec. It's handy to be concerned about something, worried about something, unsure about something, afraid of something briefly. Because if you're really carrying your trust in your back pocket, you're not going to stay there for long. You're going to get clarity. So seeing that opposite of what you want, and then seeing or recognizing more of what you do want, helps eternity. It shoots little rockets of desire into the mix, and it puts you in a place where you get that new clarity, that new desire, and you should ride that out. So when we think about the wars that are happening right now and the needs that are on any street, we've got to back up from that and look at the bigger picture and recognize that everybody's on their own journey here, and everything counts for the whole, and that wisdom and preference and a whole lot of other things are being gathered from all of it. And the best thing we can do for ourselves and everyone else is to think about what we like, think about what we prefer, send that energy there, and watch the difference. Because it may feel like you're just having some nice thoughts, but our thoughts create. They create in our own individual space, and they ripple out and create not only just across the planet, but beyond that. We're powerful creators. So I hope that makes sense. I still don't like war. I understand it as much as I can in this human form. I can't say that I disagree with it. I don't want to be a part of it, but I can't take it away. It has purpose here, like everything else does. Let's just do our part with it. So for now, I believe that's all I have to say about that. The giveaway with this episode, if you would like a honey reminder gift, email me a thought or a comment, and we'll draw a name from the first 20 emails that come in, and we'll give away another gift. If you'd like to schedule a honey session with me, you can find me at honeyandeverything.com, or you can email me at Rebecca, Rebecca, at honeyaneverything.com. Stay sweet.